Hello friends, welcome to the ASP.NET Core tutorial series. In this video, we will see how we do MVC setup in ASP.NET Core application. Before proceeding with this tutorial, I recommend you please watch part 16 of this tutorial series where we have seen how we do the environment variable setup in ASP.NET Core application. So let's go to the Visual Studio and see like how we do the MVC setup in ASP.NET Core application. So these are the some code which we have written in the project which we are using from the previous tutorial, and these are the code where we have seen how we do and utilize the environment variable which is written inside the launch setting.json file. So let's get rid of this code because we are not going to use these things into this application. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to get rid of this code as well from here because we have seen the condition like in which scenario we should use the environment variable, and we know like currently we are running this application on the IS Express, and when we go here we are not using any ASP.NET Core environment here. So by default it use the production environment that we have seen in the previous tutorial. And for reminding like I can do, we can run this application and we will see by default it will take the environment name as a production environment. So once this application will run, we will see on the browser like current environment will be a production. So environment name, it's basically written the environment name that we are going to see once this application will run on the browser. And when we run this application on the browser, we will see like the environment is a production because we didn't assign any like environment name here. So what I'm going to use, I'm going to use this, and we have given the environment variable as a development. When I will run this application, so what we will see on the browser this time, here we will see the environment variable as the development. So all these things we have seen in the previous tutorial. If you are new to this video, I recommend you please watch part 6 of this tutorial series and see like how we utilize the environment variable. Now here I am going to get rid of this line of code, and what I'm going to write, I'm going to write here hello to .NET Office. Now if I will run this application, what we will see, it will run this run middleware, and we will see on the browser hello to the .NET Office. So that all these things we have seen in the previous tutorial. Now let's understand how we add or how we do the setup for the MVC in ASP.NET Core application. So for that, like first what we have to do, we have to add one service, or I will say MVC service, inside this configure service method. So for adding that configure service to basically the dependency injection container, what we have to do, we have to take this object, and here when I will write like service dot add MVC, when I write here add MVC, we can see here like there are two methods, add MVC and add MVC core. So the difference between these two and like what is the use of these two methods, we are going to see in the coming tutorial. In this tutorial we will see about the add MVC. So here what I have done, I have added this add MVC service. After adding this add MVC service inside this configure service, and basically this function is sit inside the startup.cs class. So after adding this service, what next we have to do, we have to add the middleware, and middleware we add inside the configure method. So for adding the middleware, what we have to do, we have to take app dot, and what is the middleware name, that is use MVC default route. So that method we have to add it here, and like here currently we are getting a warning and or we can say kind of an exception message here. And why it is coming, like when this ASP.NET Core, like when we move to the version 3 of ASP.NET Core, we see this exception. And like when we run at point of this time, if I will run this application, so let's run this application at point of this time, we will see like it will give an exception here, and that exception it is giving because we are not added here like options. Let's view the details, and from here let's see the message, and what it is saying, like to use the iApplication Builder, use MVC service, what we have to do, we have to set the MVC option enable endpoint routing to the false, then only we can use. And that is like if we are using the ASP.NET Core application before version 3, it will run as it is. But now when we like with the upgraded version, like what we have to add here, we have to add the option, and here option dot like enable endpoint routing. What we have to make it, we have to make it as a false. And once we make it as a false here, and like I will get rid of this code, we can see like currently now we are not looking any exception here. And at point of this time when I will run this application, so what we will see at point of this time, we will see like still we will see the hello.net office, that message we will see, and like hello to .NET office, and it is running or bypass to this run middleware. And yeah, like we have what we have done here, like you have noticed we have placed this use static file method or middleware before the use MVC default route middleware. And this order is important. Why? Because if the request is for a static file like for an JavaScript, CSS or any image, then use static file middleware will handle the request, like this will handle the request. So if the request is for a static file, then use MVC with default route middleware is not executed, because this middleware is for the static file that we have seen in the previous tutorial. So thereby avoiding the unnecessary process, we use this use static files before the use MVC with default. So like after using this use MVC default route middleware, still we are looking to this message, like it is not executing this middleware. And the reason is, like let's go to the definition of this method and say extension method, and when I will expand the definition and we'll see the summary, what it is looking, it is basically looking a template path. And what is that? Controller. Like it is looking for the home controller, and then inside the home controller it is looking the action method name. And what is the action method name? Is the index. So it is looking for that one, and currently it is not looking that kind of the scenario. That's why it is bypassing to the next middleware. So what I will do here, I will add a one folder. Let's add the folder, and the folder name I will give as a controller. And once I will add the controller, inside that add controller, what I'm going to add, I'm going to add one class, and that class I'm going to give the name as a home controller. So once like home controller, and inside this home controller, what I'm going to take a one action method name, and that action method name, like let's return a string from here, and that is the index. And inside this index, what I'm going to return, I'm going to return like calling MVC controller. So this I'm going to call from here. Now if I will run this application, so what we will see message. So currently we have created a home controller, and inside that we have like created a one method called index action method name. So we will see this action method name message like calling MVC controller, because currently this method is looking for the respective method, like which is like home, index and ID. It is an optional. Like if I will make it as a 1 here from here, and now if I will run this application, so again what output it will give, it will give the run middleware message, and that is hello to .NET office, because now it is not looking the index method here. Now what if I will comment this line? So what at point this time we will see on the browser, we will see like 404 error on the browser. Like currently we are not finding anything on the browser, like the respective message we are not finding, like we are not looking any message, any middleware or any setup we didn't do for handling all these things. Now at point of this time, if I will uncomment this, like I make it as a index, and if I will run this application, so at point of this time what it will give, it will give us the like calling from MVC controller, because at point of this time it will like it calls from here only, it will doesn't go for the run. So let's uncomment this line. And next, like as we have seen, like if I will comment this line, So what it will give an exception to us, because this add MVC service is required to injecting like as a dependency injection for this MVC middleware. Like for this middleware, this is like this service is required for us. So like for setting up MVC into the ASP.NET Core application, what we have to do, first we have to add this service, like this service dot add MVC, and inside this what we have to do, we have to make the enable input routing to the false. And then next what we have to do, inside this configure method we have to add the middleware called use MVC with the default route, and that we have to add after the use static files, because this use static file is used for handling the static files that we have seen in the previous tutorial. So that's it for this tutorial. If you have any question and doubt, please comment. Thank you.